The ginger sitting in your kitchen right now is one of the most powerful anti-inflammatories on Earth, and you are almost certainly wasting it. Wrong form, wrong time, wrong amount. Stay to the end, because the single most powerful way to use ginger is one that almost nobody prepares correctly, and I'll show you exactly how. Subscribe if you want your body explained with actual science, not folklore. Let's get into it. Most people file ginger under spicy root for when I'm sick. That's like calling a scalpel a butter knife. Ginger carries more than 400 bioactive compounds, but 3 run the show: gingerols, shogaols, and paradols. That sharp burn on your tongue isn't flavor for its own sake, it's the chemistry firing. And here's the first thing almost no one knows. Ginger changes identity depending on how you treat it. Fresh ginger is loaded with gingerol. As you dry it, or cook it long enough, that gingerol steadily converts into shogaol, a more stable, more aggressive compound. Same root, 2 different tools. Hold on to that, because by the end, it decides how you should actually use it. But here's what separates ginger from a normal painkiller. This is where it earns the comparison to real medicine. Gingerol shuts down the same enzyme that ibuprofen targets, COX. So your body makes fewer of the molecules that scream pain and swelling. But it goes one level deeper than a painkiller ever does. Ginger also quiets NF-kappa B, the master switch your cells use to turn on inflammation in the first place. It's not muting the alarm. It's reaching the control panel. In trials, ginger extract eased arthritic knee pain over weeks of daily use. And for menstrual cramps, ginger went head-to-head with ibuprofen and matched it. A root drawing even with a painkiller. Now here's the discovery that changes everything. In recent research out of the University of Michigan and Colorado, scientists found something new. Inside your blood, a type of immune cell called a neutrophil can fling out microscopic spiderweb structures called NETs. They're meant to trap invaders, but when they misfire, those webs drive inflammation and blood clots, and they're now tied to lupus, rheumatoid arthritis, and antiphospholipid syndrome. Ginger interrupts it. Gingerol raises a molecule called CAMP inside the neutrophil that calms the cell and makes it far more resistant to throwing those inflammatory webs. In the human trial, healthy volunteers took a daily ginger supplement, about 20 milligrams of gingerols, for just 7 days. Their neutrophils measurably calmed down. This is one of the first times science pinned a real mechanism to ginger's anti-inflammatory reputation in living people. Not a myth, a mechanism. Here's one that stops people. In a double-blind trial, patients took either a small dose of powdered ginger, around 1/4 gram, or a 50 milligram dose of sumatriptan, a standard migraine drug, at the first sign of an attack. 2 hours later, both had cut headache severity by roughly the same amount, about 44%. The difference? Ginger caused far fewer side effects. But notice when they took it. At the first sign, not once the migraine had fully hit. That timing is the whole game, and I'll come back to why. Now, the effect ginger is actually famous for, except the reason isn't what you think. Ginger is the most proven natural anti-nausea agent we have, and it isn't soothing your stomach. It's blocking a receptor. When your body triggers vomiting, it fires serotonin at a switch called 5-HT3. Gingerol lands on that same switch and jams it, the same target some prescription anti-nausea drugs aim for. That's why it works for motion sickness, pregnancy, and chemotherapy nausea, where antacids do nothing. It also gets your gut moving, speeding how fast your stomach empties, which is half the reason that heavy, bloated,
everything's just sitting there feeling lifts. And in the lab, ginger even suppresses H. pylori, the bacterium behind many stomach ulcers.
Now, the mistake that quietly wastes most people's ginger. Two mistakes, actually. First, timing. For nausea, ginger is prevention, not rescue. Once the reflex has fully fired, you've missed the window. Taken 30 to 60 minutes before a trigger, a car, a boat, a rough morning, it works dramatically better than swallowed after you already feel sick. Same with that migraine result. It won when taken at the first sign. Second, form. Fresh ginger is your gingerol, best for nausea and acute flare-ups. Dried ginger, the ground powder, is where shogaol concentrates. More stable, stronger for chronic long-term inflammation and joint pain. And no, steeping fresh ginger in hot water doesn't meaningfully convert it into shogaol. That takes real drying, not a cup of tea. Reaching for fresh tea to fight years-old arthritis is bringing the wrong key to the lock. So here's the protocol. For daily protection, roughly 2 to 4 grams of fresh ginger, a thumb-sized piece, or about 1 gram of dried, half a teaspoon. Consistency beats intensity. The blood and inflammation effects build over weeks, not from one panic cup when you're already sick. And now the part I promised you, the strongest way to use ginger, and one almost nobody gets right. Golden milk. Warm milk, turmeric, a pinch of black pepper, and dried ground ginger, not fresh. This is exactly where you want the shogaol. It's a drink for long-term inflammation, so you use the dried form on purpose. And the heat of the milk isn't what makes it work. The shogaol is already in the powder. The warm milk and its fat just carry it in. Here's why the pepper isn't optional. Curcumin from turmeric is nearly useless on its own. Your gut destroys it before it's absorbed. But piperine from black pepper blocks that breakdown and, in the landmark human study, raised curcumin's absorption by 2,000%. Ginger's shogaols stack their own anti-inflammatory punch on top, and the fat in the milk carries it all in. Miss the pepper, and you've thrown most of it away. Ginger mildly thins the blood, a real issue if you're on blood thinners or facing surgery. And if you're pregnant or have an ulcer, keep it modest and talk to a doctor. Natural still means active. If this rewired how you see that root in your kitchen, follow. We take your body apart one ingredient at a time. Food science, no myths.